So I'm going to be telling you a little practice that I've incorporated in my ghost hunt explorations. And one is exchange and fair, otherwise a token of appreciation or a token of thankfulness. Now, in many cultures and in many countries, from Asia to Africa to Mexico, they have incorporated in their lifestyle, in their religion, and in their spirituality to give offerings to spirits. Now, there have been some religions that have adopted this as like signifying or symbolizing worship. But when you are going ghost hunting, this isn't worship. No. This is like when somebody invites you into their home, allows you be to drive up to your home, to walk there, and they invite you over for dinner maybe. It's customary to bring like a gift, a bottle of wine, a favorite dish, or a basket, or something like that. Not everybody does this, but think about it. A spirit has allowed you to be either inside or outside of their home. That is their sacred space. If they are there most of the time, that is their home, that is their place of residency. And I want you to think for a moment, instead of thinking, well, what if it's a demon? If you believe in traditional demons, otherwise not like the demons with horns, that mythology and Dante's Inferno, that's mythology. I'm talking about like demons who were once angels of light. They have been here for forever, since the beginning of time. And it would be best not to disrespect them. And if a spirit is on the darker spectrum, meaning they are leaning more towards the demonic, they're going to be thinking, as you come to this location, as you come to their home, what am I getting out of this? And I don't know about you, but have you ever like invited somebody in and then they just camp out there? They camp out in your living room or some other room in the house, and they won't leave? Yeah, and you're wondering why a demon is frustrated, because they're thinking to themselves, what am I getting out of this? You're getting a learning experience, but I'm not getting anything out of it. So, one of the things that I did at the graveyard, and I was speaking to what I believe to be an angel, and there was a spirit bank, word bank type spirit box that I was using on my phone, and it said look for, and I realized that I had dropped a little bit of selenite. And if you don't know what selenite is so brittle you can scratch it. You can actually take your finger and break it off. It comes off in sheets, and it's usually a kind of a pale white, opaque white. It's very biodegradable, so if you ever leave it someplace, within 3 days of having any sort of moisture or water, it eventually will disintegrate, and it will not destroy the environment in any way. So, but I decided to be a decent person and look for it, because the box had said search for, and I was like, oh, what am I searching for? And then I realized that I was missing that, so I looked, and finally I saw a stick, and I said, that's a really nice stick. I wouldn't mind having that stick. I could sand it down, I could make it a spirit stick or something, or maybe a decoration, and so I took it, and I decided, okay, I'm gonna leave this behind for you. So I want to, so I thought, what a nice little sentiment that is. And getting away from the religious aspect of this, giving offerings or gifts to spirits isn't automatically a symbol of worship, as I said before. It can be just you appreciating. And if you think about it, as I said, communication is sacred. You communicate with someone, you're using your words to tell people what's in your mind, what's in your heart, what's in your soul, and you're expressing your emotions. And when somebody opens up like that using communication, it's very personal, and and the fact that a spirit, whether angel, demon, they were animal, maybe they were, they died, whatever it is, it's a very sacred and special thing that they are taking the time out of their day to speak with you, and that they're allowing you to come back to that location, to come back to your home, to that home. Now, if you keep going to someone's home and not, just kind of expecting them to cater to your needs, otherwise, hey, so it's a sign. You know how many movies they say that, or how many kids get around a spirit board and say that, and then there's a lot of paranormal investigators that do that. I'm going to say it is really difficult for them to even communicate. It's not so much difficult, it's beyond our comprehension, because think of it, they're in a multiverse, they're in a different dimension, a different realm, a different plane of existence, perhaps a different reality, and to interact with us is takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of time, also a lot of patience, and they may not want to do that. And that may be, the reason that you're not connecting, or some of your devices aren't working, because you're expecting a lot, but you're not giving anything in return. And that's not very fair. So to be fair, give something in return. But also make sure that if you're going to leave something there, make sure that, nobody can find it, because I'm going to say, in any place that you go to, if you have something, don't leave something that's of real value. Leave something that's of price, that is priceless to you, not to the rest of the world. Preferably something small. I like shiny rocks, so I have shiny rocks, and they're very inexpensive, and but they are special to me, so I take a few rocks with me and say, okay, well, do you like this one? Do you like this? And as it turns out, some spirits, especially demons, love shiny objects. They love shiny rocks. And so if you're gonna be in a situation, make sure that it's somewhere that isn't like accessible for everybody. So just make sure that you're not putting it someplace that someone is gonna see, because this is for that spirit. It is for that spirit. You don't need to set up an altar. You don't have to do that. And then there's that thing, oh, it's a demon. It's a demon. Well, demons are not to be underestimated, because, as I said, they have been here for all of time. And if they are allowing you to be in their space and talking with you, that is a miracle in itself. They don't give a shit, okay? They could care less about your intentions. They could care less about why you're there. And they could disregard everything you say entirely. But what's important is to be respectful. You do not have to be friends. This is not you worshiping demons by leaving something behind. That is the religious aspect. Get out of your religious headspace for a little bit and think about when you are at someone's home and you bring a gift for a host or hostess. That's what it's like. They are allowing you to be in that space, and if you keep going to that space, they are going to think of that as a violation, whether they are good or bad. They're going to think, well, that's just rude. You're disrespecting me by doing that. How many people come to your home and don't, and I mean, we all have those people who are just like, they're kind of loafers, they're sponges. They just show up and they kind of they take what they want and then they leave. You don't want to be that person, because no one is going to be, even though we can see that aspect of, oh yeah, demons are selfish. Well, yes, that may be true, but we have that in common. Okay, we're all selfish sometimes. Let's try not to be when we go to a location. Also, energy is key. Energy is key. When you go to a location, it is okay to be nervous or overwhelmed. It is okay to be a little bit panicky or maybe a little scared or fearful. There's those prejudices of when you're pulling up or to a very active area, and you'll be in that heightened state for a little bit. But the best thing is just to relax, be yourself, be as polite and respectful as you can. Make sure that you don't take anything that that would be of value to any of the spirits that are there. And because I'm going to say that is what happens, people do. They bring something that they shouldn't have taken from that location, and it has consequences, which is hauntings, possessions, things moving around. Also, when you go to a location, don't ask them to do parlor tricks. Don't be like, give me a sign, move things around. That people do that so often, and it is, I think, very disrespectful. They are not here to perform for you. They are not here to entertain you. They are spirits. They have other things that they would like to do with their time besides move things across the room. And as I said, it is very difficult for them to have to interact with our reality because, first of all, they don't want to have to interact with you if they don't want to. If it's a demon, they're just going to be like, I would rather be left alone. I would rather not have to deal with any of you. But they are here, and you need to acknowledge that they are there, and you need to treat whatever space they are in as a sacred space. That's their sacred space. It's not necessarily yours, but you need to treat it as such because that is a home. I am really making this very clear. I am repeating myself because this is important. And I have seen this where people have an energy. They have an energy of like, I am exempt from this. I rule the roost. I'm here. Do not have that energy. Do not have that energy to think that you are exempt from being messed with by a demon. If you are asking a demon to perform or to do a parlor trick for you, they are, but it's going to be, they're going to take it to an extreme possibly because you're provoking them. Okay? How many of you kids, when you were a kid, somebody, wanted you to perform in front of people, and how degrading and humiliating that is to have to perform, rather when you have this passion to perform and you can just, be yourself when you perform. Like, if it's a passion, then that's cool. But if they aren't in the mood to be showing you anything, performing in any way, they're not going to do it. They're going to do what they want because they're spirits. And they are infinite and they are immortal, and they are not going to cater to your needs. If they are not your assigned spirit guides, they are going to want a little bit of something in return. So be a decent human being, be polite and respectful, and don't take anything that isn't yours. Anything on that property could be theirs. And if you think about it in this way, do you go to someone's home and take something from them? Do you go into someone's home and say, hey, I really like this, let me take this home? No, because that's stealing. It's stealing. Think of it that way. It is stealing. Get out of the religious, mythological headspace. Think of this as if you were going to someone's house, or if you were going to someone's porch or someone's backyard and you took something that you shouldn't have. You took a lawn ornament. That's not something that you need to do. You ask permission. You say, hey, I really like this. And if they are, they're nice enough, if you're nice enough to them, they might say, you know what, you take this. You take this with you, good tidings and joy and all that. And so giving offerings is just a gift of appreciation. It's a token of your appreciation. It's not necessarily a token of friendship. You don't need, and as I said, somebody that invites you into your home isn't necessarily somebody that you like or somebody that you're going to be friends with forever and all time. They're not necessarily, sometimes they're just somebody that you met at work, somebody that you, your paths cross because you, friends of a friend, that kind of thing. And it's not one of those things where, you're that you know each other really well. But if you think about it, that's a lot of trust coming from someone that maybe doesn't know you very well, and they're allowing you to be there, and they're allowing to communicate with you. They're allowing you to communicate with them, and they're allowing themselves to communicate with you. So think of that, and think of just being decent. Don't think about, this religious aspect says I shouldn't give things to demons. Okay, you're not giving souls to demons. I'm just saying, if a demon asks you to bring a soul, don't do it. use your common sense and possibly get away from that location if they want you to do things that you're not comfortable with. And if it's possible that they're asking for things that you don't want to give, tell them that. Say, I do not feel comfortable doing that, or you are making me uncomfortable. Do not ask me to bring that to you. You know, I'm here to learn. Tell them why you're there. Say you're not here to violate anything. And if what I do is I don't just go up to a haunted location. I mean, sometimes I will, but the best thing is not to. Very slowly approach the area. Do not break and enter, especially if it's condemned or it's that kind of thing. Just, especially if it's in an area where there's a sidewalk or something, sit on the sidewalk. You know, have your back facing them, or go across the street. Do something where you're giving some distance. You're creating distance, because when you meet someone, you do not want to be close and on top of them. And it's with any spirit, demon, demonic, angelic, animal, dead, alive, whatever it is, person, entity, you need to establish a rapport. And also each spirit has a preference. Sometimes they like certain devices and certain apps over others. Also take in consideration if there is, like, you know, if you're near a tower, or you're near water, or you're near, or maybe you have something that's metal, or you're near power lines, you're probably not going to get a really great session, because those are interfering with the equipment. And I have had several equipment on my phone that are like, do not work when they're near power lines. So make sure if you're near a power line, make sure that you're at least at 10 feet away, you know. And if you're near water, nothing much should happen. But also take in consideration if you're in an area where there's a lot of electricity going on and there's a lot of power output, otherwise things are being released into the air, electrical stuff, that's going to interfere with the session as well. And also, all of these communications devices are not completely accurate. As I said, it's like calling someone who's in the hills in a different country. You can't expect things to be clear completely all the time. And also, we make mistakes as well. We make interpretations, and also the spirits don't always know everything. They have the same thing with us. They have the infinite capacity to learn. Otherwise, they can infinitely learn everything. They probably know more than we do, but they don't necessarily know everything or know everyone. And take in consideration, if you ever are just talking to one spirit and you're like, okay, I'd like to talk to Sunny, and then all of a sudden Edith shows up and you're like, who's Edith? You know, what the heck? And then, you know, you might think to yourself, if you're in a safe space like your home or whatever, you have to take in consideration, well, that's probably another spirit guide that has revealed themselves. And you know, welcome any you know, if a spirit decides to take over, which is often, spirits communicate, obviously, because they're spirits. Sometimes they will give the microphone to someone else. They'll be like, you know what, I would like you to talk instead. I think you would like to talk this, or how about I've got something else to do, so why don't you talk to her for me? I don't know what goes on. I don't claim to know, but I have a feeling that, yeah, sometimes things don't go according to plan, and that's okay. But when you come to a location, whatever device you're using, have a clear, concise, you know, make sure that when you have a session and you've spoken to one previously, kind of signify that that's who you want to talk to. And I've seen this in a lot of people who try to use devices that they're not familiar with, whether it be or communication devices like spirit boards or divining rods or that kind of thing, or their phone or spirit boxes, and they don't really know who they're talking to, and that's a bit like calling a random number and expecting them to give you a Domino's pizza. I guess that person could help you, but they're gonna think that you're pretty nutty when you ask them, when you continue to ask them for help when they are not working for Domino's. So yeah, don't provoke, don't frustrate them. You don't need to be on eggshells, but just be conscientious and polite, and as respectful as you can be, because um, I have seen people who underestimate spirits, and if you have that energy in there of, okay, you know, I am in charge kind of thing, they're not going to take well to that. If they're a territorial entity, they're going to make sure that you are in your place. They're going to make sure, and it does not matter. They do not care your age. They do not care whether you are a child. They do not care if you're an adult. You have entered their territory. You have set up equipment in there, and if you've not gotten permission from them, they're not going to take kindly to that. Don't film. How many people are you going to film without their permission? Okay. If you're a decent human being, nobody. You need to ask ahead of time. That's why these reality shows, you know, the ones, the prank ones, is they always make sure, hey, this is a candid camera show. Can we use your face in there, because we don't want to have a lawsuit and that kind of thing. So they're usually very, yes, it has to do with the fact that they don't want to deal with a lawsuit, but it's also just common decency. You don't want to show someone's face without their permission. That's just kind of a violation in itself. It's like, that's like a sleazy reporter taking a photo of somebody that's getting undressed. It's just not, it's not kosher. It's not cool. And so when you go to a location, don't just expect them to say yes, because first of all, that is their place, that is their home. You cannot go into someone's home and just expect to do whatever you want. Put your shoes on the table, and you know, set up your you know, your cameras. I mean, people are gonna think that you're freaking crazy if you go into someone's home and start filming. Okay, that's what you're doing when you go into a haunted location. You need to tell them ahead of time. Tell them, hey, I'm here. Remember that time when I said that I was gonna film, or was gonna have a session? They'll say that. So just ask them, if whether it's audio or whether it's visual or audio or whatever, make sure that you have the permission from the spirits that are there to perform, because I've seen people that go to these locations, they don't get permission beforehand. Make sure you also have permission from the people that own that area. Do not go break and enter. Do not do that. You are not a crazy YouTuber slash urban explorer that, and I have no idea why people kind of put that in. I mean, I respect them for the fact that they're brave, but I also have this confliction of the fact that they have not gotten permission from the authorities. They have not gotten permission from whoever is in charge. And I respect, but I also respect the paranormal investigators that do get the permissions. They get permissions. They call the owners. They don't just walk in there and trespass and break and enter. That's not okay. I am totally against breaking and entering. And if I was to break and enter, I would not film it. You know what I mean? Because that could be used later in court to convict me. They're like, hey, you're aware that you were in this location? Oh, shoot. And once it's out there in the internet, it's there forever. So that offense is just going to be out there for forever and ever. Because even things that you think that you delete, somebody could have saved it. Somebody could have taken a screenshot of it. They have already either accessed your account, or they have already gotten what they want from you. So be conscientious of that and be aware of your surroundings. Make sure that you are respectful to wildlife as well as to humanity, and as well to all the spirits that are there. And I hope this was helpful, and I hope you all have a beautiful, blessed day.